us continue with the quick revision of day 9. In the last class, I have explained three major concepts: interface, abstract class, and generics. When you talk about interface, we have seen what is a major difference between interface implementation and normal inheritance implementation. In case of inheritance, we may have a class which is abstract class. We may have a class which is non-abstract class. Ultimately, when you go for inheritance, you use a keyword called as extends. If the super thing is a class, you use the keyword extends. In case of majorly, when you have multiple inheritance in Java, then you cannot perform multiple inheritance directly. If I'm saying multiple inheritance directly, it can be achieved in an indirect way with the help of, you can say, interface, right? So when you say interface, it is having the statement where I have one declaration part. The interface and the abstract, they initially look like same. But what is a major difference? Here we use extends keyword. Here we use, you can say, implements keyword. Next, we have also seen how do we go for interface declaration. The word interface is used, and how do we implement the interface. I have told about there can be a class who can first use extends and then go for implements. One class can extend one another class, but one class can implement multiple interfaces. Most commonly asked question on over here is, can we create object of abstract class? Answer is no. Can we create object of interface? Answer is no. But can we create a reference variable of abstract? Yes. Can we create reference of variable of interface? Answer is yes. You can create array of references. You can create a reference, and that's what is basically, you can say, interface versus abstract class that we have seen. Then I have given you a few examples. It is not compulsory that if my class is implementing the interface, then it should have only those methods. The class can consist of overridden and non-overridden, both the types of methods. Next, we have also observed something called as instance of method. When we say instance of, it is basically used for checking the left side and the right side part. The left side part tells us how the whether the object belongs to this particular class or not. That's called as instance of. I've explained the interface and classes hierarchy. I've explained when to go for implements, when to go for extends. Then we have seen the concept of generics, where we need a generalized code, which I want to execute again and again. It means the code lines within the function body are same, or I want to perform repetitive tasks, I can go for designing a generic, and that is nothing but template. We have seen question mark as was at just as an introduction part. Yes, definitely, we will see this part, upper bound, lower bound, and wildcard in case of collections. So for time being, just remember, if I'm not aware about the any type of a wrapper class, which my function is going to have it, in that case, we will go for wildcard. Then we have seen generic field, generic class, and generic methods. The three examples I've taken. And the last topic that I have explained you was something called as exception handling. In case of exception handling, yesterday I have explained what do you mean by the word exception. The exception is a condition which occurs in a program when the user enters the wrong input, correct? Now, if I want to perform the handling of that, you can say, specific exception, in that case, that is called as exception handling, correct? Now, in you can say, whenever you talk about exception handling, it has some specific flow. So it has some specific, you can say, way to write the exception handling. So I'll just first explain you what is day 10 agenda. Right? We will see exception handling flow. We will see exception handling keywords. We will talk about various methods like get message. We will talk about printer stack trace message. We will see how we can, you can say, handle the exceptions. Apart from that, we will also talk about user-defined exception. So that is what is today's agenda, right? I'll just save it and the correct location. This is day 10 agenda, right? So let us go ahead to the first example and let us understand how to go for exceptions. Now, first of all, let us assume I'm writing one basic example where inside the main, I'm having two numbers, num1 and num2. I want to declare one scanner SC is equal to new scanner system.in. I want to accept two numbers from the user. Enter first number. So definitely I'll use sc.nextInt and I will put it into num1. Again, I'll go for accept the second number. Enter the second number. And I will say sc.nextInt, put it into num2. Now in this scenario, I have one more variable, let us say integer result, right? And I'm trying to calculate result is equal to num1 divided by num2. The same example I will carry forward in, you can say, explaining the concepts of exception handling, right? So this I will carry forward again and again. I'll say result is equal to plus result. I think this code is understood by everyone. Let us quickly run this code and check what output we are getting. So it's asking me to enter the first number. I'm saying 8, second number 2, and I'm getting the correct result. Correct? Now, in this scenario, my program have worked absolutely fine. The reason is I have got first number and second number correctly. Correct? Now, let us execute the code once again. It is saying enter the first number. Let us say I'm entering the first number as 12 and it is asking me enter the second number. In this case, I'm saying I am entering 0. So for me, 0 is a valid number. But when your compiler is trying to perform 12 divided by 0, it is wrong. So what has happened? Can you see? It is giving me there's an exception in the thread main. There's an exception. What is the name of exception? It is saying arithmetic exception. What details it is giving me? It is saying divide by 0. And where it has occurred in date 10_1 inside the main on line number 16. Have you all understood up to this point why the exception have occurred into the program? Correct. So let us now try to understand what has happened into this scenario. It means whenever the compiler is trying to perform the num1 divided by num2, in that scenario, what happens behind the scene and how this exception have occurred. इसे हम बोलते हैं exception handling flow, and that is basically is fixed, and you have to understand this now. Let us say whenever I want to go for exception handling, so I'll just write a heading, exception handling flow. I'll save it. Correct. So first of all, the first statement is basically when you give any program for the execution, Java runtime environment, that is your JRE, goes to the main thread. This is the flow which is fixed, goes to the main thread, and it checks for any exception, or the error which is occurring into your program. Correct? So in this scenario, I'm saying num1 divided by num2. When the user have given the wrong input, exception have occurred. Now, if exception have occurred, agar exception aa gaya, then what? It creates, this is fixed, there is no change into this flow, in this flow. It creates an instance, जिसे हम बोलते हैं object of matching exception class. Next, for example, right now we have got arithmetic exception. You may receive null pointer exception. You may receive number format exception. You may receive n number of exceptions. So what has happened? Whenever you, in our example, we have tried to perform num1 divided by num2, because the user have given the wrong input, exception have occurred. And if the exception have occurred, it have created the object of its matching exception class. So please understand, here I have got the exception called as arithmetic exception. Now, where it is belonging to? It is belonging to java.lang package. Let me go to java.lang package, right? And let me just share java.lang, and can you see it is having list of exception. And we have got the first exception, arithmetic exception. Quickly observe and tell me, arithmetic exception is what? What is arithmetic exception? By looking at the documentation, it is basically the class. Are we okay? Next point. Which is the supermost class of this arithmetic class exception? Object. But also, do you remember all the exception classes are having its own superclass as exception, and then the supermost is throwable. Are you able to understand this hierarchy? The ultimate class is object, but in between, it's a multi-level inheritance. Object, throwable, exception, runtime exception, arithmetic exception. Have you understood this hierarchy, everyone? Perfect. Now, let me go here. Suppose exception have occurred. In that case, what it will do? It will create an object. Object create hua. Then what's the next job? The next job is JVM, Java Virtual Machine, will invoke. Invoke means it will call. It will invokes the statement like throw new exception. I hope you can understand. Whenever you write throw new any class, can I say this is nothing but one object is getting created? Correct. And if I am writing a keyword throw in front of it, it will throw the exception object. Now, throw the exception object means arithmetic exception आया है तो उसी क्लास का एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनेगा और वही ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो होगा. So for example, in our case, whenever there is an arithmetic exception which is occurring, what JVM will internally do? It will throw new arithmetic exception. Can I say anonymous object create होके throw हो रहा है from my application? Okay. Now throwing means what? जैसे आपका फंक्शन वैल्यू रिटर्न करता है, आप उस फंक्शन को वैल्यू कैच करते हो. If you do not catch that value, in that case, it is completely okay. That value will get lost. Do you all agree? Perfect. Now, same is the case over here. There are two possibilities. First, when you say object is thrown, when you say the object is thrown, then what I have to do? Let us check. The first point, JVM, Java Virtual Machine, will check. It will check whether the program have supplied the matching catch block to catch the thrown object. It means this is a job of a JVM. JVM will search, have you supplied the code who can catch that value? So, the way I'm saying, if your function is having a return value, if you have got that value in some variable, definitely it will be caught. But if you have some variable value which is returned from the function, but you have not caught that value will get lost. Similar is the case over here. In your program, if you have written a code who can catch that thrown object, then JVM will search for it. So here, this execution flow will definitely have two variations. Either you have supplied yes, or maybe you have not supplied anything. Give me a second. I'll just make a space. Gradually, you will understand. I'll make this as small so that it will save the space. All right. Now, so I may have two options. One is yes, the exception block is present into the program, and there may be a no option. Correct? Next point. So I'll say if there is yes, or maybe there is no. All right. So here, if I have the exception object, which is not present, then what? If I have not handled the exception handling, then JVM will check or will abort the code or abort the application, means come out of the application by printing the details, some details. What details? Maybe stack trace, stack में क्या हुआ? Maybe some message, maybe some location at which point exception have occurred. It means if you have not supplied the handling, it will just close your application, terminate your application by giving me some messages, right? Next, and suppose if I have supplied the exception handling code, then definitely it will abort from the try block. I'll show you what is try block now. And it moves to matching catch block. And it handles the exception. So let us understand now. So there are two variations. One is yes part, another is no part. Again, please observe once again this flow. Read this and then I'll explain the whole code through the code. All right. Now, I'll just save this. First of all, once again observe this code. Have I supplied the wrong input? Yes. Is the exception object is created? Yes. So, are you able to understand the first block? Everyone. Perfect. Second point. In this case, num1 divided by num2, exception have been generated. Exception अगर आता है तो क्या मैंने मेरे प्रोग्राम में exception handling का कोड लिखा है क्या? नहीं लिखा है. Perfect. तो in that case, जब मेरा यहाँ पे exception occur हुआ, when the exception have occurred at this point, JVM will first throw the exception class object. It will call that particular you can say specific class object. And then if I'm saying in my program, Java virtual machine will check, have the developer tried to maintain or supply the matching catch block? No, I have not supplied. If I have not supplied that point, in that case, can you see? JVM will abort the application. My application is getting terminated. My application is coming out of its execution and it is displaying me some messages, some stack trace, message or location. What is a stack trace? It is basically the data which is going ahead into the stack. Stack में कैसे work हो रहा है? Line number 16 पे गया, Java की file में गया. Line 16 is where it is at data_1. What type of error I've got? Divide by 0. It is in which exception class? Java arithmetic exception, and it is nothing but in the mean. So can I say in this particular program, I have not handled the exception. That's the reason JVM is aborting your application and displaying you the details about, you can say, exceptions in the console. Are you okay? Did you all understand up to this point? Everyone. Is it okay? Understood. Please understand, many times you have to understand over here is, if you're not writing any exception handling code in your program, the output will be into this format. Correct? Next point. Let us say, now let us talk about some keywords. Some keywords. To handle the exception, we have different keywords. I'll keep this slide, you can say, and I'll add on the contents gradually. The first keyword is nothing but try. So what is this try block? It is a block which consists of line of codes which we need to inspect. What do you mean by inspect? Means ऐसा code जहां पे मुझे पता है कि exception आ सकता है. I need to check whether there can be an exception or not. There can be examining. Correct. So it's a block which consists of some lines of code or maybe the complete code which we need to inspect, right? So we can say try block. A try block can consist of one or more number of, you can say, statements. So I'll write here, try block can have one or more number of statements. Next point, every try block must have at least one catch block. Till the time you do not write the try block, till the time you do not write a try block, you cannot write catch. And if you have written a try, you must have a catch block. Next point. If I'm saying if the exception have occurred in the try block, then the control get transferred to matching catch block. And this is how exception handling takes place. Correct? So now let us try to write something about catch block. The second keyword that we use is catch block. So what is catch block? It is also called as a handler, the exception handler. So exception handling means corrective measures are taken in catch block. Correct? Now, what exactly here I can write? There can be one or more catch blocks based on application requirement. I'll just tell you about these points. I'll save this exception handling keywords. Next, let us observe. I'll copy this code. Right? I'll paste it. I'll close this project. Let's modify this. All right. Now, at this moment, can I say, I know in my program, on line number 16, there may be the exception if the user is entering num2 is equal to 0. Yes. So what I'll do, I will put this block into the try block. Is it okay? What I'll do, I will put this block into the try block. Right? Now, as I've said, what does the try block consist of? Try block consists of some lines of code which we may think that they may throw the exception that I have to decide as a developer. And as I've said, a try block can consist of one or more number of lines. That is also correct. And as I've said, a try block must have at least one catch block. So now, if I write catch, correct, the catch block will try to catch the exception object. Everyone, can you please tell me, as a developer, can you conclude on line number 17 which type of exception may occur? On line number 17, you know arithmetic exception may occur. Correct? If arithmetic exception is going to occur, then can I say JVM will throw one object? Perfect. But उस object को catch करने के लिए, do I need a reference? Yes. So here I'll pass arithmetic exception, maybe E. Is it okay, everyone? And here I'll put a corrective statement. Maybe I will ask from user, please enter second number can't be 0. That's it. All right. So I have written a try block and I have written the catch block. Right? So whatever message you want to pass, you can pass. But I've just written a simple statement. So let us execute this code now. First of all, if you take the first number, where is mouse? Give me a second. Yeah. So let us take the first number 6, second number 2. It is giving me the correct result. It's working fine. Let us say I'm writing first number as 0, second number as 3. It is also fine because 0 divided by 3 is a 0. But let us try to execute the statement where I'm entering first number 5, second number is 0. That means on line number 17, exception have occurred. Java Virtual Machine will throw one exception which is called as arithmetic exception. Java Virtual Machine will try to search, do I have a matching catch block for arithmetic exception? Yes. So here the object will be caught. And here it is going to print me second number can't be 0. Are you okay? All right, just hold on. I'll come to that point. Now, in this case, can I say instead of treating to the end user in a harsh way, my application is terminating, but have I terminated my application in a graceful manner? ग्रेसफुल मैनर में खत्म हुई ना, प्रॉपरली एंड हुई, टर्मिनेट हुई, लेकिन यूजर को एटलीस्ट तो मैसेज तो गया कि द सेकेंड नंबर कैन नॉट बी 0. ओके, guys, even if I pass two numbers as 0 and 0, it is going to be saying the same thing, second number cannot be 0. All right, someone is saying repeat value लेने चाहिए उसने. You can do that. अगर आप यहाँ पे second number cannot be 0, फिर से आप यहाँ पे num1 num2 की वैल्यू ले लो, फिर से आप यहाँ पे रिजल्ट कैलकुलेट करो. Corrective measures are completely based on the user. Again, someone is asking, अगर matching catch block नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा? Just hold on. I've just started with the topic. Just let me explain first, step by step. So let us understand how does it goes. So let us assume in this scenario, if the user is entering num2 is equal to 0. That's what I'm explaining. Please understand. If user enters num2 is equal to 0, and we know num1 divided by num2, 0, division is not possible, right? So what your JVM will do, if it is not possible, JVM will throw one object. So JVM will first create the object. Of which class? I know division is not possible. So ये एक object create करेगा like new arithmetic exception. Can I say it is nothing but one object which has been created, anonymous object? Do you agree? Right. Now, when I say it will create the object, and if the user is entering 0, that means, can I say if division is not possible, JVM will throw the object. Can I say like this? The step number 2? Right. कौन सा ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो करेगा? ऑब्वियसली जो ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया गया है. कौन सा ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया गया है? न्यू arithmetic exception. So throw is a keyword which is used by your JVM automatically. Have you all understood up to this point? Everyone? Perfect. All right. Just hold on. So can I say actually whenever there is an exception, JVM is trying to, just hold on, JVM is trying to throw one object which is nothing but maybe matching with your application. That's what it is happening. But at this moment, when I'm saying throw new arithmetic exception, it is throwing one object. Throwing one object means internally it creates one object, right? So I'll say throwing, it is throwing one object. Of which type? Can you please tell me कौन से type का है? Arithmetic exception type. Are you okay? Have you understood up to this point? Correct. Now when it is throwing, it will just see, do I have a matching catch block? Yes or no? Yes, I do have it. So can I say this object will be going into the matching catch block? Who is the matching catch block? Arithmetic exception. I have the catch block arithmetic exception, it will go to this point. Is it okay? At this moment, can I say behind the scene, it is working like arithmetic exception E, उसके अंदर as a parameter new arithmetic exception E पास हो रहा है. Are you okay? Yes or no? Is it like object creation? Perfect. And then I'm just saying print the corrective decision. So this is the corrective action that we have taken. I'll just save this. Exception handling flow example. I hope the things are clear. इतना समझ में आया? Understood. So is it like when you give a call to the function, if the function is returning a value, you should catch it. Otherwise, it will fall off. Same is the case happening over here. If you have written a try block, if the exception have occurred, it will throw an exception object. If I have a matching catch block, in that case, we try to go into the matching catch block. Now, someone is asking why we have written a try block. Guys, till the time you do not write a try block, will it move to the catch block? No. So try and the catch key are the keywords from which your compiler will understand, oh, there's a try keyword. It means there may be exception which may occur into this code. If the exception have occurred, I will go to the catch block. Are we okay? Yes or no? Perfect. Now, hold on. Here in this case, throw automatically हो गया क्योंकि num1 divided by num2 is not possible. तो throw automatically हो गया. Perfect. Hold on. Previous scenario के example में हमने try and catch नहीं लिखा था. Was my JVM was giving me some output like arithmetic exception and so on and so forth. Do you remember? Right. अगर आप यहाँ पे Java developer नहीं रहते थे तो आपको समझ में आता था क्या कि ये arithmetic exception क्या है? नहीं. So was it a harsh way of treating to the customer? Yes. But if you write here a try and catch block, have I handled my situation in a graceful manner? Yes, and that's what is the need. Is it okay? Perfect. Now, hold on. Let us say I'm writing the same code once again. But I'm saying I am writing here exception E. Okay? I'm writing here exception E. Everyone, can you please observe once again and tell me arithmetic exception E or arithmetic exception is having the superclass as which class? Object. लेकिन object के down hierarchy में क्या है? Throwable. Throwable के down hierarchy में क्या है? Exception. So can I say arithmetic exception is having the superclass as exception? All right. Next point. Quickly observe. Let us say I'm saying array index out of bound exception. Can you please observe and quickly tell me यहाँ पे who is the superclass? Can you see array index out of bound का superclass is exception? Yes or no? Correct. Check it out. Class cast exception. Is it having the superclass as exception? Yes. Null pointer exception. Is it having the superclass as exception? Yes. What does it mean? It means that whenever you are having exception, it is also a class which is the supermost class of the exception hierarchy. जितने भी आपके Java के predefined exceptions है, can you see all these exceptions? Yes, they have the superclass called as exception. Is it okay? Yes or no? Everyone. Now, let me just execute the same code once again. I'm writing 50 and 0. Is it giving me the same message? Yes. But here there is a difference. What is the difference? I have written a catch exception E. So what is happening? Let us understand one more time. I'll just take the complete code. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Yeah, I'll copy this and I'll paste it over here. But here, everyone, in this scenario, what is the minor change? Instead of arithmetic exception E, I have written only exception E. Do you all agree? Everyone? Perfect. Now let us understand. First of all, can you please tell me into the scenario, if the user is entering num to 0, which exception will occur? Which exception will occur? Arithmetic exception will occur. Will my Java and JVM will throw one object of type arithmetic exception? Yes. At this moment, where it will go? It will find a matching catch block. Now please tell me, do I have a matching catch block of arithmetic exception in my program? No, I do not have it. But do you at least know that arithmetic exception is having superclass as exception? Do you all agree? Correct. It means, can I say exception class superclass hai or arithmetic exception is a subclass? Correct. So what will happen in this scenario? This flow will again go to the catch block. Means, can I say whichever object is thrown, it will be caught into exception E is equal to new arithmetic exception? Yes or no? Of course, yes. I hope you remember. What is arithmetic exception? Arithmetic exception is subclass. What is exception? It is nothing but the superclass. Storing the object of subclass in the reference of superclass. Do you know that concept? That is nothing but upcasting. I hope you remember this concept. अभी समझ में आया अपकास्टिंग का एक्चुअल नीड कहां पे है? Because someone was asking, ma'am, if I do not remember the actual name of the exception class, because we are human beings, right? We cannot remember so many classes and we cannot know कि कौन सा exception कब आने वाला है. So in that case, you cannot remember so many number of classes. Then Java have given you the concept of exception class, which is called as upcast, where you can go for upcasting. So what will happen? अगर आपको मैचिंग कैच ब्लॉक नहीं लिखना है तो आप एक्सेप्शन ई लिख सकते हो. थ्रोएबल ई इज नॉट अलाउड. द रीजन इज थ्रोएबल के अंदर दो कैटेगरीज है. वन इज एक्सेप्शन, अनदर इज एरर. Is it error? No, it's an exception. So you have to be more specific. Is it okay? Did you all get up to this point? Any questions so far? If something is reaching to you, everyone. If yes, shall I proceed? So have you understood? If I am not, you can say, remembering the actual class name, I can just write catch exception E. जब भी आप कैच एक्सेप्शन ई लिखते हो, इसे आप जेनरिक कैच ब्लॉक भी बोलते हो. Have you understood what do you mean by generic catch block? A generic catch block is the one where you just write exception E. Whichever type of exception is occurring into your program, try to handle that on its own. Is it okay? See, though there are some limitations for upcasting and downcasting, but at this moment, if I'm saying let my new arithmetic exception point to exception E, it is absolutely okay. All the methods cannot be accessed by the superclass. True. लेकिन basic exceptions तो हो जाएंगे ना. In C++, generic catch block was ... 3 times. In Java, generic catch block is exception E. Is it okay? All right. Shall we go ahead? Perfect. Now, let me take one more project. All right. Now let us understand. Uh, I'll just copy the same code, correct? And instead of your exception, let me write exception key only, correct? Let us execute this code once again. If you say enter the first number, I'm saying 8. It's saying enter the second number. Now I'm saying A, B, C. And I'll say enter. Can you observe the exception input mismatch exception? Yes or no? Right. Why I have received this input mismatch exception? It is because you have written the second number as a wrong, right? So I have given a wrong input. That's why I'm getting this exception, input mismatch exception. Let me just execute once again. Suppose I'm entering the first number and I'm first number only, I'm saying A1234 and I'm saying enter. Can you see I'm again getting input mismatch exception? Yes, it is because you are entering the wrong input. It is expecting you int data, but you have written the input, you have written the wrong input. Correct? Now, please understand. In this case, first of all, can you please observe and tell me my exception is occurring on which line number? On line number 11. Perfect. So, can I say here my JVM will try to throw one exception object, throw new input mismatch exception. Do you agree? Yes. Yes or no? Perfect. But in this case, JVM will also observe, do I have written this code into the try and catch matching blocks? No. If I have not written this into the try and catch block, then what the JVM will do? It will just abort the application and display you the complete stack trace. This is called as stack trace. Now let us understand what does this stack trace means. Here, it's stack trace means आपका code stack में कैसे process हो रहा है. I'm explaining that. So please observe. Here the exception have occurred on line number 11. Inside day10_3, inside the main function. At which function? At the nextInt function. NextInt function is defined in which class? It is defined in scanner class. So it is showing you it is defined in the scanner.java 2212. What is 2212? It is nothing but the line when I click over here scanner.class के अंदर 2212 नाम की ये वाली line पे error दे रहा है. That's how it is. Next, again it is saying util.nextInt 2258 स्कैनर क्लास में 2258 में वो ट्राई कर रहा है कि नेक्स्ट मेथड स्ट्रिंग एस फॉर्मेट में है. अगेन इट विल गो हियर scanner.java 1594 नेक्स्ट मेथड के लिए भी उसने एक्सेप्शन थ्रोन फॉर किया है. अगेन इट विल गो व्हाट आई हैव टू थ्रो फॉर, गो टू 939. इट मींस आपने कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ स्ट्रिंग एंड इंट सप्लाई किया है. इट इज एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू मैच अप विद नेक्स्ट एंड नेक्स्ट. And ultimately it is throwing one exception which is on line number 939. Can you see? It is internally written throw new input mismatch exception. Have you now understood from where these exceptions are thrown? Right? Next point. It is saying where is this input mismatch exception? It is there in java.util. So let us go to java.util package. Java.util package. Correct? And it is having some exception which is input mismatch exception. Can you see? It is thrown by the scanner to indicate that the token received does not match the pattern of expected type. Can you quickly observe input mismatch exception का super class कौन सा है? It is exception. Have you all understood up to this point? Yes or no? Perfect. Good. So in this case, what is the solution? Shall I write a catch block for it? Of course, yes, because I know if the user have given a wrong input, I may receive an exception, input mismatch exception. Once again, let me just modify this. अगर user ने wrong input दिया, numeric wrong दिया, तो I will go for arithmetic exception. Right, spelling mistake. Next, if the user have given a wrong input in the wrong format, which exception I'm going to get? Input mismatch exception. I'll say E. And here I'll put a message. The message that I'll put is data entered is in wrong pattern. That's it. Input mismatch exception comes from which class? Sorry, which package? Java.util package. Do I have imported java.util? No. So I have to import java.util. Is it okay? Have you understood up to this point? Yes or no? Perfect. Let us execute one more time. Still there is a mistake. I'll tell you. Let us execute it one more time. First of all, I'm saying 5 and 2. It's working absolutely fine. Next, I'm saying 5 and 0. Is it going into arithmetic exception and give me the corrective action? Of course, yes. Let us execute one more time. Now I'm saying I'm entering data as 8 and I'm entering the data DEF. Now please tell me what it should print, which line it should print. Will it print line number 27? Let us check what it is printing. Can you see why it did not go in line number 27? It is printing the same exception. The reason over here is, please observe, have I written my entering of input code inside the try block or outside the try block? It is outside the try block. अगर try block में data लिखा ही नहीं तो वो inspect कहाँ से होगा? Have you now understood the actual meaning of try, everyone? So what I have to do? I have to remove try block from here and I have to start try block over here. Is the point clear to everyone? The number of statements that I want to inspect must be enclosed into the try block. All right, let us execute. Once again, I'm entering the first number 25, second number some data. Can you see now it is saying the data is entered in the wrong pattern? Exception have occurred on line number 17. Let us execute once again. I'm saying ABCD and I'm writing this. No, data is entered in the wrong pattern. So if you want to put something into the try block, that code only gets inspected. And if you are not putting that code inside the try block, then that code will not be, you can say, will not be inspected. Okay. Are we okay? Any questions? Is it okay? All right. Now, hold on. Just hold on. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about generic catch block. Hold on. Now, everyone, listen very carefully. First of all, if observe carefully and understand the execution flow. I have line number 14, number is to be entered. Line number 17, a number is to be entered. Line number 19, division is to be performed. I know on line number 14, there may be the exception where the user may enter wrong input, maybe not an integer number. I know maybe on the line number 17, user is not entering the integer value, may throw the exception. And I also know on line number 19, this is going to be throwing exception if the user have entered num2 as 0. So in this scenario, as a developer, I have analyzed my code That's the reason I have put this complete code into this try block. Now, as a developer, I know this is the common exception, arithmetic exception when the number 2 is a 0. So I'm handling it by writing the catch arithmetic exception E. It is called as writing the specific catch block. Correct? Next, suppose I know in the next int there might be the exception input mismatch. So that's the reason I have written one more specific catch block called as input mismatch exception. Data entered is in the wrong pattern. Correct? Next point. Suppose, let us assume I am trying to perform in this scenario, one try block is having two catch blocks. And जैसा आपका error, जैसा आपका exception, वैसे वो matching catch block में जा रहा है. Do you all agree up to this point? Have you all understood? Everyone? Perfect. Now, I'll take the same code. Give me a second. I'll create a copy of it. Remaining codes, I'll close. I'll close it. Let us assume I'm writing refactor and rename k_4. And let us assume into this program, I'm just writing args of 0. I'm putting into string s1. Everyone, do you know this is command line argument? And if I'm not supplying command line argument, is it going to throw array index out of bounds exception? Perfect. Let us execute. Can you see? In this scenario, it is going array index out of bounds exception. So what is the solution? There is one solution. I'll copy this, right? I will just make this one more catch block. And I'll say here array index out of bounds exception. And here I'll say command line arguments are not supplied. Do you all agree? And one more thing I have to change is try block को यहाँ से कट करके मुझे यहाँ पे लिखना पड़ेगा. Do you all agree? तभी वो array index out of bound exception नहीं देगा. Have you all understood up to this point? Can you see? It is saying command line arguments are not supplied. They did found a matching catch block. Yes or no? Perfect. Good. Shall I proceed? Please listen carefully. Next point. Suppose at some point of time, I'm not remembering the exception name. So here, instead of writing array index out of bound, I am writing here generic catch block, which is exception E. And here I'm saying, just I'm writing, please check input supplied. Just a message. At this moment, just let's check it out. I have not supplied the command line argument. It is going to throw array index out of bounds exception. But do I have a matching catch block? No. So can you please quickly tell me on which catch block it will go? Line number 25, line number 29, or line number 33? It will go to line number 33 and I'm getting this perfect output. Are we okay? Yes or no? Correct. Let us say now I'm trying to supply some command line arguments. Run configuration, arguments, and I'm saying 10. I'll say apply and I'll say run. Can you see the data has been accepted successfully? It's asking me first number, but right now I'm assigning first number as PQR. Quickly tell me in which line number it will go. It will go to which line number? Input mismatch exception, and it is going to give me 31 line. Are we okay? Right. One more time I'll execute. Suppose I'm saying 5, I'm saying 0. Now, on which line it will go? It will go on 27. It is going to give me this. Are we okay? Perfect. Good. Now let us understand another scenario. Here, I'll make a change. Give me a second. Suppose I am writing catch exception E over here. And if you write a catch exception E over here, first exception may occur at this point. It will just try to go for this class. Perfect. Suppose the exception have occurred over here. Who is the supermost class? In this case, input mismatch का super class exception. Can I say ये पहला उसे super class exception E block मिल जाएगा? Will it ever go to input mismatch exception? No. And that's why, can you see a Java compile time error? It is saying that, read the error, unreachable catch block. It is saying that unreachable catch block. Why? It is because whenever any exception is thrown, and if you write the first catch block as a generic catch block, it will never go into specific catch block. So what is the solution? Solution is always write the generic catch block at the end of other catch statements. I'll write over here. It is compulsory to write generic catch block at the or after the other catch blocks. Otherwise, there is a Javac error, code becomes unreachable. Did you all get, everyone, up to this point? Yes or no? Perfect. Good. Now, let me just copy the same code. I'll create a new project. Day 10 underscore 5. I'll say finish. Right click, new class. Day 10 underscore 5. Now, I'll say, let us understand. Next point. Suppose I'm at this moment, now I am just trying to accept two numbers and I'm trying to calculate this result. At this moment, someone is saying, I am not able to remember a single class of exception handling. I'm not remembering exception, arithmetic exception, input mismatch exception, null pointer exception, and so on. Then what shall I do? In those scenarios, you go for exception E, only the generic one. And you can put a generalized message. Please check the details again. That's it. Let us check the code. If I'm writing maybe 5 and 2, it's working fine. When I'm saying 6 and 0, it is saying, please check the details again. When I'm entering some wrong data, it's saying, please check the details again. When I'm saying 9 and some data, it is saying, please check the details again. That means whichever type of exception have occurred, I have not written any matching catch block. But here I have written one generic catch block to handle all types of exception in the program. Have you understood, everyone? Now, listen carefully. Suppose I'm trying to fill the form, correct? And in that form, so you all have faced these kinds of scenarios. In that form, there are 25 fields, correct? And you try to fill the complete form and you have clicked on submit button, correct? But in that case, you have received a pop-up box. For example, it maybe you might have written 9-digit mobile number. So it have given you a specific error that please enter the correct mobile number. So what you will do, you will see there are 25 fields. You will directly jump to the mobile number and make the changes. Do you all agree? Yes. Suppose, again, you're trying to submit and maybe you have not written @ in the email. So it is giving you a pop-up box and it is saying, please check the email again, the invalid email. So in that case, you will go to the email box and you will just try to make the modification. Again, you're submitting the form and maybe you have written a location which is a numeric one. But in this case, it is expecting the location should be in words. Again, it will give you a pop-up box and you will just try to make the modification. That means 3 times you have done a mistake in entering the input. 3 times you have received a proper message, enter the mobile, enter the correct email, enter the, you can say, specific, field, which is location field. So now in this scenario, user will not get irritated. Why? The reason is you are being more specific in specifying the error that is occurring in the exception that is occurring into your application. Correct? Now, another scenario, suppose you have a form where you have 40 fields to be filled. And after filling up all the 40 fields, you have spent 45 minutes to fill the field and you are clicking on submit. and it is giving you a pop-up box. Some fields are missing. Have you ever faced such scenario? Yes or no? Some fields are missing. Is it specific? No. It means the user has to scan all the fields and again have to perform the job. And again, when you say submit once again there is some kind of error into your form. It will again tell you some fields are missing. So now, please tell me, in this second scenario, will it irritate the user? Will you get irritated? Kare, please tell me which field is missing. Are you getting the scenario? So in the first scenario, the developers have developed the code by handling the exception individually, by writing multiple catch blocks. And in the second scenario, the developers have handled the exceptions, but in a more generic way. So which is better always, the first or the second? Obviously the first scenario. अगर आप generic लिखोगे तो user irritate हो जाएगा, you may lose the customers too. So it should be always a good practice. If you know the name of the exception, write that specific catch block. If you do not know the name of the exception, make sure you write the generic block. Are we okay up to this point? Yes or no? So did you all understand, everyone, up to this point? Yes or no? I'll wait over here, go through the code so that I can go ahead with the next point, which is called as try block handler. Or you can say we will merge few points. All right, just give me 2 minutes. All right, is it okay? Did you all understand why to go for specific and the generic block? Okay. So let us go ahead. Day 10_6. Shall we proceed or shall I wait? Are you looking into the code? I'll wait for a minute. All right. Shall we go ahead? See. Now, suppose I'll take two numbers, result and the same case. In this scenario, let us say I'm not having a generic catch block and I want to merge two blocks or two catch blocks. Maybe I'll say arithmetic exception E and or I'll say input mismatch exception E. right? So I'll just add it, java.lang, and I'll just add java.util. So if you want to combine two exception classes, in that case, we can go for OR symbol, right? So we can say that if you want two catch blocks to be combined, to be merged, in that case, you can just observe the things will go in the similar to the generic case. But here, you can say the things are merged. तो अगर आपको एक या दो you can say multiple number of exception classes को join करना है, in that case we can go for this kind of exception to be merged. Have you understood, everyone? Is it okay? All right. Now, in this scenario also, if I'm writing a catch exception E over here, can you see it is giving me the same error, unreachable code? Yes. So here also, you should always write a generic catch block at the end. All right? Good. More than 2 blocks are okay. Suppose if you are writing catch array index out of bounds exception E, that is absolutely okay. But the catch exception E shall come ultimately at the end, whatever is the situation. Is it okay? Are we okay? Perfect. Let us go ahead then. I'll just try to introduce some point. Again, it is having a linking with file handling. But yes, it is called as a try block handler. Now, what is try block handler? Let me copy this. And in this case, I'm writing first number and take the second number from the user. I'll go for a catch block 2. But here I'll make a change. If you can see what is SC, it is nothing but one object. It is a resource. What resource it is using? It is using input stream as a resource, right? It means whenever you are talking about the concept of objects, SC is one object, that's a resource. Again, when you say, you can say scanner object, file object, they all are resources, correct? Now, here I'll say scanner, SC is equal to new scanner. I have created the scanner class object within the try block. And here I'll say system.in. Now, what is the difference between writing the scanner block before the try block and writing the scanner block inside the try block? Rest everything is the same. Just let me take few points. Here I'm just writing exception handled, whatever the theta is. But can you observe at this moment, I have passed one scanner object in the try block as a parameter. Then this is called as try block handler. So what is try block handler? It is normally used when we deal with resources. When we deal with resources. So when to go for try block handler? When we want resource to be closed on its own if exception have occurred. Now I'll tell you the scenario. You will understand in a better way. Suppose आपने कभी files के बारे में सुना है? Reading the content from the file, writing the content to the file. Everyone have heard about it. Now, Listen carefully. Suppose I am trying to read contents from the file, or maybe I'm trying to write the contents in the file. And can I say when I'm writing the content to the file, उसके बाद जब तक मेरा फाइल सेव नहीं होता तब तक मैं उसे रीड नहीं कर सकती. कैन इट बी द पॉसिबिलिटी? यस. और जब तक मेरा फाइल सेव नहीं होता तब तक मैं उसे डिलीट नहीं कर सकती, राइट? या फिर सपोज आई हैव वन फाइल एंड आई एम यूजिंग दैट फाइल, कैन यू डिलीट एट दैट मोमेंट? नो, राइट? It means, suppose in my program, I am trying to read the data from the file, I am trying to write the data from the file, and at that moment, if background mein I try to delete that file, will that file get deleted? No. But suppose in my program, I have started reading the file. मैंने फाइल को रीड करना स्टार्ट किया, इसलिए मैंने उसे ट्राई ब्लॉक में लिख दिया. बट रीड करने के टाइम एक्सेप्शन आ गया. ऑब्वियसली रीड करने के लिए आपको फाइल ओपन करना पड़ेगा and then only you can read it. And suppose in between exception have occurred, and assume if exception have occurred, will my file will be closed on its own? No. अगर फाइल क्लोज ही नहीं हुई तो will I be able to perform any other operations? No. Have you understood up to this point, everyone? It means when I'm using some resources while performing the operation, that resource may have some kind of exception. And because of that, in future, वो फाइल मुझे हमेशा रीड ओनली दिखा सकता है, वो फाइल मुझे हमेशा ओपन दिखा सकता है, वो फाइल मैं कभी डिलीट नहीं कर सकती. And there can be n number of things that are behind the scene which are dependent. In those scenarios, we go for a try block handler. So what is try block handler? Generally, we create the object of a resource. Scanner is one resource, file is one resource inside the try block. What does it mean? That whenever we are dealing with a resource, if the exception have occurred because of this resource, close that resource automatically. That is the meaning of try block handler. Are you okay? तो कैन यू सी यहाँ पे स्कैनर SC में हमें उसने बेसिकली एरर ही नहीं दिया. आर यू ओके? आर यू ओके? डिड यू ऑल गेट? ये ट्राई ब्लॉक हैंडलर हम फिर से फाइल हैंडलिंग में देखेंगे. बट एटलीस्ट इतना आपको याद रखना है कि जब भी आप ट्राई ब्लॉक के अंदर कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट पास करते हो, इफ द एक्सेप्शन हैव अकर्ड, दैट रिसोर्स विल बी क्लोज्ड ऑन इट्स ओन. ओके? यस और नो? ठीक. फाइल हैंडलिंग में वी विल सी इट अगेन. ऑलराइट. नाउ let me go ahead to one new project, day 10_7. I'll say finish. Right click, new class. Now let us talk about one more concept which is called as checked versus unchecked exceptions. Most commonly asked interview question: what is checked, what is unchecked exception? Okay, before checked and unchecked, I think we shall first write about finally block. So that finally block, suppose I'll take the same code in day 10_6. I'll copy the same code and let us say observe. In this case, I'm entering first number, second number, and result. And maybe I have one exception, E. I'm just writing a generic catch block, system.out.println. And here I'll write inside catch block. That's it. Here I'll write a finally block. I'll just say finally block gets executed. I'll say this. Now let us understand what I mean by the finally block. Everyone, please quickly tell me, if I have entered the wrong number, will it be an exception? Yes. If there will be the exception, it will go to which line? Line number 24 and executes 26. Perfect. Now, observe and tell me, if the exception have occurred on line number 15, then will my line number 17, 18, 20 and 21 will get ever execute? No. It means once the exception have occurred, the remaining things will inside the try block will never get executed. Right? So let us assume let us assume I have written one code where this is my code. I am in the try block and here I am working on file. मैंने फाइल को ओपन किया, मैंने यहाँ पे कुछ कंटेंट परफॉर्म किए and I perform this operations. यहाँ पे मैंने फाइल को क्लोज किया. But at this moment, in this scenario, suppose there is a exception which have occurred. If the exception have occurred, can I say ये line of code कभी भी execute नहीं होगा? True. So what it will do? एक बार फाइल ओपन हो गई, क्लोज नहीं किया, हमेशा फाइल मुझे used में दिखाएगा. So can I say, in this scenario, here I want to perform some compulsory action, even if exception occurred or do not occur. What is that compulsory action? Close the file. Do you all agree? Perfect. In this case, I will just write a finally block. So what does the finally block consist of? Finally block consists of number of statements. I'll just add a line over here. It will have number of statements that we wish to execute compulsory, even if the exception have occurred or did not occur. Have you all understood up to this point? Everyone. Right? Somewhere it went. I'll just make it finally block. It executes compulsorily even if the exception have occurred or did not occur. तो कुछ स्टेटमेंट्स जो आपको कोड में कंपलसरी एग्जीक्यूट करनी है, आप उन्हें फाइनली ब्लॉक में लिखते हो. करेक्ट? सो I'll just show you the code. Here we have written this code and I know there might be a problem into this scenario. They will go to the matching catch block. But if the exception is occurring, the remaining statement will never get executed. But I want the finally statement to be compulsory executed. Let's check. If I'm saying the first number maybe as 9, second number as a 3, it is working fine for me. But still, finally block gets executed. Exception नहीं हुआ, तभी भी execute होगा. Next, if exception have occurred, it is again executing the finally block. Have you understood what is the meaning of finally block? The most commonly interview question asked, what is the difference between final and finally? याद है कुछ? Have I covered the keyword final? Of course, yes. All right. Final can be used to in front of variables, that is fields, in front of variables, in front of fields, in front of methods, in front of, you can say class. Perfect. Good. So that is finally keyword. Now let us talk about something called as checked versus unchecked exceptions. So I'll say this. And let us work with a new file, checked versus unchecked. So whenever you talk about exceptions, there are two categories. One is checked exceptions and another is unchecked exception. All right. So let us say here it is checked, here it is unchecked. Initially, you may find it little difficult to identify checked and unchecked. It is little bit confusing topic, but I'll try to make it easy for you to understand. Okay? Now, when you say checked exceptions, these, let me write few points. I'll prove each and every point. These exceptions are compulsory to be handled during the program development or application development, right? How? There are 2 points. Using try and catch block, or using throws keyword, right? Next, here they are called checked exceptions. The reason is compiler checks the condition during development of application. I'll prove all the points. Just let me write some points. For example, IO exception. For example, SQL exception, etc. Right? Here, I'll write all the, it's a most important point, all the exception classes, right, belongs to exception as class, except runtime exception are, and its subclass are checked exceptions. So checked exceptions कौन से हैं? जितने भी आपके java.lang.exception क्लास में है, सारे क्लासेस checked exception में आते हैं, but except runtime exceptions. So I'll write here what is unchecked. They need to be checked, or they need not to be handled. They need not to be handled compulsory at the time of application development. At the time of application development. For example, I'll say null pointer exception, number format exception. I'll say input mismatch exception. I'll say array index out of bounds exception, etc. Next, they all belong to the hierarchy as follows. What is the hierarchy? java.lang.object. Then you have java.lang.throwable. Then you have java.lang.exception. And then you have java.lang.runtime exception. So here I'll make a conclusion. What is the conclusion? Runtime exception and its subclasses all are unchecked exceptions. So most commonly asked interview question is, Devyani, I'm muting you. I'll just mute all. Right. So the most commonly asked interview question is, what do you mean by checked versus unchecked exception? Checked and unchecked. I request everyone, I'll give you the examples also, but before we'll give you the examples after the break, but I just want everyone how to identify whether it is checked exception or unchecked exceptions. Now, as you know, in your java.lang package, you have a throwable object, then throwable, and then exception. Now, please observe, everyone. The class exception is the superclass of all the exception classes in the Java hierarchy. Correct? So, if you can see activation exception, AWT exception, something data format exception, I'll just open few interrupted exceptions. Maybe I'll go to IO exception, input output exception. Maybe you have SQL kind of exception and so on. I'm just taking few classes. If you can observe, check this. Data format exception, superclasses, exception. Interrupted exception, superclasses, exception. IO exception, superclasses, exception. SQL exception, superclasses, exception. These all subclasses of the exception class comes under checked exception. They come under which category? Checked exception. So with how to handle that, we will see later. But did you all understand what do you mean by checked exception? Whatever number of classes who are having exception as the superclass, then I'll say they all come under checked exception category. Are we okay? Yes or no? Perfect. But if you observe, somewhere over here, you have runtime exception. Correct? Again, in class runtime exception, you have so many number of exception. You all have heard. Check this. Arithmetic exception, class cast exception. Maybe you all have heard no such element exception, negative array size exception. Maybe you have array index out of bound exception or index null pointer exception, index out of bounds exception. Just observe very carefully. Arithmetic exception is a class. Who is the immediate superclass? Who is the immediate superclass? Runtime exception. Again, class cast exception. Who is the immediate superclass? It is a runtime exception. No such method exception. Superclass is runtime exception. Negative array size, runtime exception. Null pointer, runtime exception. Index out of bound, runtime exception. So what I want to say at this moment is all the subclasses of runtime exception class comes under which category? Comes under unchecked category. Have you understood how to identify whether it is checked or unchecked? The class who is having immediate superclass as a runtime exception, they all come under unchecked category. The class whose immediate class superclass is only exception, that comes under checked category. Are we okay? Have you all understood up to this point? Is it okay? Have you all understood? There is exception also superclass? Yes, but what I have said, if it is a direct superclass as exception, then it is checked category. But if I'm saying immediate superclass is runtime, it is unchecked. That is a huge difference. Is it fine? All right. I'll just take one or two more examples and just quickly tell me. Let us say clone not supported exception. Quickly tell me, is it checked or unchecked? It is checked. Perfect. So will you be able to at least identify what do you mean by checked and unchecked exception? Are we okay? Perfect. So what we can do, first we will take a break and then we will see the examples of how to deal with checked exception and unchecked exceptions. Are we okay? All right. So I'll pause over here